25, and you are recognized for 5 minutes. Ms. Boebert, you're recognized.
I apologize, Mr. Chairman. I couldn't hear you.
Oh, you're up. Representative, you're recognized on amendment designated number 25, your amendment, and you are recognized for 5 minutes to discuss your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This amendment should be an absolute no-brainer. It prevents the Department of Interior to pay the salary of anyone involved in eco-terrorism. Tree spiking is a disgusting form of terrorism that injures innocent Americans just trying to do their job. This amendment should receive bipartisan support, and I encourage my colleagues to support this. Tree spiking does not just prevent people from wanting to log or harvest timber, but this also puts our firefighters in danger when there is a wildfire and they go through and are cutting in the forest to stop this fire. So I encourage all of my colleagues to support this, and I yield back. Thank you.
Let me recognize myself for in opposition to the amendment. I oppose the amendment, and I would urge my colleagues to vote no. The amendment is not a solution. It is a solution in search of a problem. There are not eco-terrorism trying to infiltrate the Interior Department. This amendment is messaging gimmick. However, as drafted, it risks creating procedural issues which imperil the bill. For instance, the committee print is a serious proposal designed to invest in our future by addressing the climate crisis, creating jobs, and providing the needed resources for communities that need it the most. This amendment does nothing to enhance or refine that investment, and that's why it should be rejected. And with that, I urge a no vote, and I yield back. Anyone else wish to be recognized?
Mr. Chairman.
Who seeks to be recognized?
Rosendale.
Sir, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would urge every one of the committee members to please support this legislation. We right now have a nominee for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, a disgraced nominee from the state of Montana that has been involved in tree spiking, putting people's lives at risk. And we cannot have people that are going out into the forest, stopping the harvesting of our timber and putting lives at stake, whether it is the firefighters or the people that are actually in the plants that are trying to process this timber, to continue on like this. So I would urge everyone please to support this legislation.
Thank you. The gentleman yields back. Anyone else wish to be recognized?
Mr. Chairman.
Who seeks recognition?
Graves.
Graves, you recognize, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, let's take a minute here. Respond to comments of the gentlelady from Michigan. I got to tell you, I'm really shocked that rather than recognizing that it's made an error by moving forward right now and failed to properly clarify this, instead she chose to double down on the decision. Mr. Chairman, I want to remind you and my friends on the other side, and actually, before I start that, I do want to express some appreciation to Mr. Case and Mr. Costner for exercising some discretion in regard to absurdity of budget numbers. I appreciate y'all recognizing that there is a limit somewhere, and y'all's desire to make sure this thing's paid for. Obviously, don't totally agree with everything, but I appreciate y'all having some sensitivity there. I do. Thank you for noting that. But back to Mr. Lee, Mr. Chairman, it's our job to represent people and do what's right for the country. And, Mr. Chairman, as you well know, we could spend 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, working through issues that are presented to us. And what you have to do all the time is you have to prioritize. And so, you know, reminding members on the other side that you've all voted against. Every single one of you have voted against efforts to make South Louisiana more resilient. You've all voted against efforts to try to expedite, as our ranking member has stated, expedite project development delivery processes. You've all opposed that. And so right now, part of the reason that we're dealing with some of the chaos that we're dealing with is because your refusal and failure to actually recognize proper priorities and needs and voting against things that need to be done, like Ms. Boebert's amendment. And so to suggest that, oh, well, people underwater that have flooding in their basements still have to go to work and people that, yeah, you're damn right they do, absolutely. But you know what? When you have people that are still missing, when you have people that don't have cell service that are out of contact and don't have water and wastewater, like every single one of you do right now, like every single one of you do right now, what you're supposed to do is prioritize. The federal response here is not what it needs to be. It's not. And I'm not blaming this administration. This happens every time. And it takes about 2 weeks for folks to get kind of in battle rhythm. But what happens then is everybody's got to put all hands on deck and try and save lives and try and provide some of these necessities. If somebody thinks that establishing a civilian climate corps is more important than going to do search and rescue, more important than refrigerating somebody's insulin, more important than getting that lady oxygen that doesn't have it right now, that's fine. I'd love for you to explicitly say that so we can show the American people what your true colors are. So look, I'll shut up, but this is crazy. What the ranking member said about all of these actions that are not thought out and just chasing these emotions, this is dangerous stuff. This is dangerous stuff. And you may consider it to be rhetoric, but some of the acting, then thinking that happened in Afghanistan, it's exactly what's happening right now in all of these other areas of policy, where folks are acting on emotion, not acting on facts, not acting on evidence, not realizing that, you know what, I made a mistake, which I'll say I make them every single day, multiple times. That's really dangerous. This is really dangerous stuff. And I think that this country and this committee could show better leadership than's being exercised right now.
The gentleman yields back. Anyone else wish to be recognized on Boebert Amendment number 25? There is no further debate. The
Gosar.
question is, who wishes to be recognized?
Gosar.
Mr. Gosar, sir, you're recognized.
Trying to get my camera going here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And once again, I rise to support the gentlelady from Colorado's amendment. You know, once again, we show deference to holding people accountable for actions of terrorism. This is eco-terrorism. That is nothing less and can be stated nothing differently. There have to be ramifications for people when they do things like this. That timber is not that individual's property. It is the people's property in many cases because of the public lands. And so those people have to be held accountable. And for this committee and for the chairman to facilitate those types of actions, facilitate the breaking of the law. And this country cannot stand unless we have equal application of the law. And I find it very disheartening that we're not holding people accountable for their actions. So once again, I rise in support of the gentlelady from Colorado and would ask everybody to support it. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Anyone else wish to be recognized?
This is Lauren Boebert. Will someone yield to me?
The representative is seeking.
I would yield the balance of my time.
Who is speaking?
This is Westerman.
You don't have. You already finished your part of it.
I haven't
Chair,
debated
I would
this.
yield the balance of my time.
Sir, when you finished talking, that was the balance of your time.
Mr. Chair,
So
Mr.
someone
Chairman,
that has not, could you please?
This is-
yield some
Mr.
time?
Chairman, it's Congresswoman Herrell. I will,
Miss-
Thank you very much, Congresswoman. Congresswoman yields, Ms. Boebert.
Mr. Chairman, I haven't debated this amendment.
Oh, I'm sorry. I heard you so often, I got confused. But anyway, no, I apologize.
Thank you, Congresswoman Herrell, for yielding some time to me. I just want to reiterate with this amendment and it being an absolute no-brainer, preventing the Department of Interior to pay a salary to anyone involved in ecoterrorism. The current nominee for the director of the BLM is still actively engaged in ecoterrorism, as the tree spikes are still in the trees, when she was very much involved in spiking. And the only reason that she's not in federal prison right now is because she took an immunity deal with the FBI. And so I just want to put weight on that this person, this individual, is still currently involved in eco-terrorism. If you go and put bombs or grenades out in the forest and leave them there and then say, oh, well, I don't have anything to do with it anymore. No, they're still there. They can still kill someone. Tree spiking is intended to kill people. It is not a deterrent. It is intended to kill people. And with that, I yield back. Thank you.
Yields, Ms. Representative Herrell yields. Anyone else seek to be recognized on Boebert amendment?
Mr. Chair, I have my hand up. This is McCollum.
Ms. McCollum, sorry, you're recognized.
That's okay. I find this conversation slightly ironic. Person's going to go through full Senate confirmation and we're doing a character assassination, and people are, in my opinion, being a little fast and loose with some of the public statements. I just want to, on the record, ask my colleagues if they think in 2014, when we had the Bundy standoff, was Cliven Bundy and law enforcement, after a 21-year legal dispute in which the United States Bureau of Land Management obtained a court order directing Mr. Bundy to pay over $1 million in grazing fees. I did not hear any outrage from my colleagues on the other side of the aisle on that. So we're going to talk about full enforcement and holding people accountable. Sign me up, but let's make sure we hold everybody accountable. With that, I yield back, Mr. Chair.
Gentlelady yields back. Anyone else wish to be recognized in the amendment?
Mr. Chairman.
Who seeks to be recognized?
Sir Nicolas from Guam, Mr. Chairman.
Sir Nicolas, please recognize, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to first put an inquiry to the chair. Is the language of this amendment consistent with the Byrd rule, or would its...
Go ahead. He's still talking. I can't hear you, Mr. Representative. We cannot hear you. Mr. Representative, you can speak.
Yeah, I'm unmuted.
Okay. I think at the heart of your question is the violation, as I stated at the beginning of the discussion, that it creates that some amendments create significant procedural problems that are going to hurt us as we go through the process going into the Senate. Let me leave it at that. You know, instead of getting into whatever definition of the Byrd rule, that will come down to a parliamentarian or whatever this thing is. Right now, we're talking about the procedures that we have under the instructions, and this would cause significant problems on that area.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to clarify that because, you know, I think that we need to make sure we don't lose sight of that risk as we proceed with all of the other amendments on this measure. Because as much as we get into debating, you know, whether or not something sounds good or something looks like good policy, We're talking about a reconciliation bill, and we have a very different set of rules that we need to follow. And so I would like for all of us to please just stay focused on that, so that we don't end up stepping out of bounds on what reconciliation is limited to. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And thank you for that admonition. I think that is important. We all keep that in mind. I appreciate that, Representative. Anyone else wish to be recognized? If there's no further discussion on the amendment and hearing no debate, the question is on the Boebert Amendment number 25. I will pause so that members in favor can unmute. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 I will now pause so that members opposed can unmute. All those opposed, please indicate by saying no.
No.
Members can then again mute again. In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it, and the amendment is not agreed to.
Can we get a recorded vote?
A recorded vote has been requested, and the vote will be postponed pursuant to my prior announcement. Representative Boebert, you have the next amendment as well, designated 218, and you are recognized for 5 minutes.